Hello, it's Kevin here. Introduction number 78. So, nowadays people buy a lot of things even though they do not really need them. Why? And is this a positive or a negative trend? Okay, so we've got two questions to answer. Some paraphrasing. You could do currently, nowadays, today, in today's world, etc. People, consumers, or customers. You could use those. A lot of, many, a large number of, not a multitude like somebody said today, but still, many, a lot of things, items, purchases, not stuff. One or two used stuff, that's a bit too informal, it doesn't quite work. Buy, money is spent by, you can use that, purchase, buy, spend on. Not really needed. It's non-essential, essentially. So why is it happening? Well, I believe it's because of too much advertising. Is it a negative tendency? I think it is. It might interfere with people's lives, their social relationships. If you're spending too much cash, it might affect your relationship with your wife, husband, etc. Okay, let's have a look. So, number one's not too bad. Currently, people make purchases regardless of the fact that they need products or not, or whether they need them or not. You could change it there. This happens, people are too much exposed to advertisements. This practice is detrimental to shoppers but constructive to society in general. That's good. While shoppers waste their cash, businesses make money and the economy flourishes. So that's not bad. Regardless of the fact, you could maybe change it to whether they need them or not. You can maybe change that. This is not bad. We don't need stuff, make it items. And not caring, I consider this as leading. We don't really need that as an act, which in turn creates social inequality. Well, it's obviously in a country, a society, so you don't need to say that, but that's not bad. Non-essential items, stuffs is not plural. Non-essential items has become popular. We don't have to have so. I suppose, is it or is it not? I believe it is the result of. So it not would be. You suppose that it would be, well, is it or isn't it? You need to be clear. I believe it is the result of tempting advertisements, not tools, and the low awareness of customers about the practical usage of their purchase. Don't forget your articles. In my opinion, since this matter leads to wasting money and a rise in litter, I'm not sure what that's got to do with anything. I'd have to read the rest of the essay to explain that. Definitely a negative trend for both the community and its members. In recent years, people are inclined to purchase whatever they see without even needing them. I believe this is the impact of advertisements that manipulate people's minds to make them buy disposable items. However, as a result, or as a consequence, materialistic attitudes would be increased or might be increased amongst individuals. Now, we usually say the collocation is usually the gap between rich and poor. We don't say poor and rich gap. The traditional expression or collocation, it's an idiom, in fact, the gap between rich and poor. So that's how we would do that. Advertising is one of these significant factors causing people to purchase items that they don't need or do not need. Now, I would avoid contractions. I believe this consumerism has a tremendous environmental impact, and I am, avoid contractions, a strong opponent of this idea. Despite spending boosting economic growth, it exerts various negative influences over people's lives. The multitudes of, a lot of, or many. These days people tend to buy a lot of unnecessary things. The main reason for this is that people want to show off, and I believe it is a negative development because it leads to a society which has more gaps between rich and poor. So that's the idiom that I mentioned in the previous introduction, the gap between rich and poor. That's the traditional way that we would express that. This one's good, but some stuff here that we don't really need. Where does it say that in the topic? Where does it say that in the topic? This should be in your body paragraph, giving reasons, examples. So, not too bad, but still, we don't really need that in your introduction, right? That should be in your body, where you're explaining why people do it. All that you need, restate the topic. These days, people buy a lot of unnecessary items. They do it because of advertising, which is a bad thing because, etc. That's it. We live in an... Now, right. The vocab here, very unnatural, inappropriate. This would get you a very low lexical resource score. We live in an era in which a hefty amount of merchandise is purchased, not being necessarily true demands. You mean it's not necessary or unnecessarily? As much as countries trend to be more consumer societies, as well as retail therapy has become a pleasurable activity for some. Yeah, this is not so good. Although some subscribe to this view as an acceptable measure, it is stringently refuted by this essay. You mean you disagree? Due to be detrimental to economic climate. So the vocab here just does not work at all. It's not natural. Trying to put high value, so-called high value words in appropriate does not work. Will get you a low score as a consequence. As we are living in a consumer society, many people are persuaded to purchase a variety of goods which may be used once or twice. From my point of view, the main reason, a negative trend. Okay, so just a couple of things we don't really need there. Today's people spend money on a great deal of unnecessary and even useless things. I think it's a negative habit. And then we've got this scope sentence that tells me nothing. Don't use it. Tells me nothing. You're not answering the question. And this isn't bad. Purchase of goods, okay, increasing. Answer question 1, answer question 2. But I'm not really sure about shortage of budget and as well as mental disorders. You'd have to explain that. Okay, so some are not too bad. Scope sentence, don't need it. That's not bad. No idea what that is talking about. That should be in your body paragraphs, not your introduction. Good collocation, multitude, not so bad, bit of vocab here. The collocation, gap between rich and poor. Bit of vocab and grammar there. Not bad at all. So, hope that helps. We'll see you next time for number 79.